Hello, good morning friends. Welcome back to your favorite channel CodeOneDigest. Today in this tutorial, we will be learning how to set up AWS EC2 instance from scratch and then how to deploy NodeJS API application into EC2 instance, how to run NodeJS application, NodeJS API project into EC2 instance. So I'll teach you step by step how can you set up EC2 instance and run the Node.js application into EC2 instance. And we'll be accessing Node.js APIs from outside, right? So stay with me. It is going to be very informative and very exciting tutorial today. If you want to learn Node.js, if you want to learn AWS, if you want to learn EC2 instance, then this is a tutorial for you. I'll teach you step by step how can you do that, right? In 10 minutes, you will be able to run your Node.js application into AWS cloud, right friends? Clear? Exciting?
What you need to understand, Susan, is that everyone has an agenda, okay?
Okay friends, so here is the agenda of this tutorial today. I'll give you introduction of AWS EC2 VM setup, and then I'll also show you how can you create a Node.js API. We'll be creating a Node.js API project. I'll be showing you the code, how can you write the Node.js API in 5 minutes. Then I'll upload that project, everything, all the files into a Git repository so that we can download the code into our EC2 instance. Okay, next step is now I'll teach you how can we set up AWS EC2 instance from scratch. I'll teach you step by step how can you create and set up EC2 instance, right? Then next step is we'll be creating a security group in EC2 instance to open a port for our Node.js application, right? You may be running your Node.js application on port 8080 or any other port. So that port need to be open so that we can access the application from external world, right friends? So that I'll show you. Then we'll be installing few softwares into our EC2 instance box like Git client, and then I'll be installing the NVM node version manager, then node server and npm into our EC2 instance. And I'll give you the command to install all these softwares into our EC2 instance. Once this is done, then I'll be building our project into EC2 instance and run the Node.js application into our EC2 instance. Then finally, we'll be testing those endpoints into EC2 instance, right? We'll be accessing that endpoint from internet and see that we are getting a response from our EC2 server. I'll be summarizing what we learned, right? So we'll be using the Node.js server to run our JavaScript application. We'll be uploading that data into our Git repository. Finally, we'll be downloading all of that into our EC2 instance, right friends? Okay friends, so now let's understand the architecture, what we are trying to achieve today. Okay, as a user, I'll be creating the Node.js project in my local. Once that local testing is done, then I'll be uploading all my code to my GitHub repository, right? So all my Node.js code and application files, everything will be loaded to GitHub repository. Finally, I'll be setting up the AWS EC2 server. Now, inside the server, I'll be creating a slash Apple directory, right? And then in that Apple directory, I'll be downloading all my code from the GitHub repository that I have uploaded. So now all my code is residing into a slash Apple directory. Now finally I'll be installing few software like Git client and Node server, Node version manager, npm, and so on. Once all of those softwares are installed in this EC2 server, then I'll be starting my Node server, which is running the project under this slash Apple directory. And this Node server is actually running my API project, is running my microservice, right? Now, in front of that, I'm having a firewall where I have opened the port 8080 because my application is running on port 8080, so that I'm telling this firewall to let port 8080 is open and let the user traffic come through port 8080. Once this is done, then I'll be testing my application through internet. I'll be hitting the URL with the host name of this server and the port 8080. I'll show you that in a demo, right friends? So this is a very simple project, very simple architecture. What we are trying to do, I hope this picture is clear, and the picture tells more than 1000 words. That is why I have this architecture diagram. Clear? If you have any doubt or any query, please post that into a comment section. I'll reply to your query. Right friends? Friends, before we proceed in this video, I request you to subscribe this channel to grow CodeOneDigest family. Friends, I'm creating a lot of quality videos on programming, coding concepts, design pattern and design principles, cloud and container technologies, but I'm not getting subscribers. I request you to like, share, and subscribe this channel so that I can grow our Code One Digest family. Thank you.
All right, let's get started.
Okay, friends. So now let me show you my Node.js API project. Very simple project. Okay. So this is my Node.js API project where I have a package.json and I have only three dependencies: body parser, CORS, and Express. Express to support HTTP support, microservice support, to create routes. So all those capabilities will come from Express. Body parser, it's kind of a middleware that helps Express to convert the body of post request for the processing. So these three dependencies we have added. Very simple, no fancy item, right? Let me show you my server.js, right? This is our main JavaScript file where I'm importing the body parser, CORS, and Express and defining a port 8080 so that I can run my server on 8080 port, taking an instance of app from Express, and in that app I am setting the body parser and CORS. Finally, I'm defining two routes. One is slash, it is printing welcome to Node.js API project, and second is slash hello to return the hello world string. Right. Finally, I'm starting my server here app.listen on the port. That port is defined above, and printing the message in the log on the console is server is up and running on port. Very simple, 2 minutes application. Let me show you. Let me run this application into my local and see if that is working fine. Next step is we'll upload this code to a GitHub repository so that we can use it in our cloud. Let me do that. So this is my directory where I have a code. Let me open a command prompt and I'll say node server.js. Okay. So it will start the server. Yes. So server is started 8080, right? And that means the application is working fine. Let me hit that in my local and see if it is working fine. HTTP localhost 8080 slash. Yes, so it is printing that message. Welcome to Node.js API project. Let me test another endpoint quickly. Hello. So yes, I'm getting the response hello world. That means both of my endpoints are working fine. Now what we'll do is we'll upload this code to our GitHub repository so that we can use this into our cloud. Right, friends? Okay, friends. So you need not to worry of the code. If you don't want to create a Node.js API project, you can use this project. This is my repository CodeOneDigest, and this is a project Node.js Hello World API project. You can just download the code and use it and run it, right? This is the URL to clone the project. Just clone it in your local and run that in your local. And you can use the same URL to clone it in your cloud as well, right? You can directly clone this code into your cloud instance if you want to. So you can download this code and modify it, or you can use the same code directly, deploy that, run that in your cloud. Okay. I'll share the URL of this repository in the description section as well. So go and use this code from this repository. Right, friends? Okay, friends. So now let's start. Let me show you how can we set up AWS EC2 instance. So open a Google, okay, and search for AWS console login, and you will see the very first option. It is showing that AWS management console. Just click on it. So it will take you to the AWS management console. Now you have to log in with your account. If you don't have account, you can create, or if you have an account, you can log into that account. Okay, so I already have an account and I'll be logging in into that using my credential, and log in as a root user so that you will have all the privileges. So I'm logging as CodeOneDigest, right? Now once you log in into your console, you will have few options like what all services you want to use. So all of that will be available on your home screen. So in this tutorial, as I said, right, I am going to set up EC2. So just click on EC2, or if it is not showing up for you by default, you can search EC2 here in search box. So EC2 virtual server in the cloud, that option will appear. Just click on that, then you will be taken to EC2 page. So this is our EC2 page where all the options are available. This is how it looks like. If you're familiar with this page, then well and good. If not, this is the home page of EC2 service, right? So you should know what is EC2 as well. So EC2 means Elastic Compute Cloud. Okay, that is why the short form is EC2. We call it EC2 service. When you go for EC2 service, then you are actually going for a virtual machine hardware. It's like your local laptop or a desktop that will be provided to you as per your requirement. Whatever operating system you select, it will be given to you. So in this tutorial, I'll be selecting a Linux operating system on the cloud. So it will give me a server with Linux operating system on AWS cloud. EC2 nothing but a Linux machine which will be available to me on a cloud, and I am going to use it to host my Node.js application on that Linux box. Right friends, clear? The things are not as complicated as it sounds, okay? So it is just a simple Linux machine which is available to you on the cloud. So click on the instances. You will see if there is any instance running here. So there is no instance running here. Nothing is there. So to create a new instance, click on the launch instances. Okay. So now a new page will open and it will ask you some details, okay, about the new instance that you want to create. So you have to provide a name and then we will select operating system and size and so on. So just follow me. Okay. Okay. So this name I'm giving. And then the next is application and operating system image. So which operating system you want. So we have few options like Amazon Linux, Mac OS, Ubuntu, Windows, Red Hat. Okay, for this demo, this is not a production application and this is just for tutorial purpose. So hence I'll be selecting Amazon Linux. Now select the 64-bit architecture. Then there are different type of instances. That means different type of sizes available. So which size you will select? That means how many CPUs, what will be the memory, and so on. So you have multiple options available here. If you see T2 Nano, where we have one CPU and 0.5 GB memory, then T2 Micro, where we have one CPU and 1 GB memory, and so on. We have bigger sizes as well, where we have multiple CPUs and higher RAM. But as this is just for demo application, simple application, so I'll be taking this T2 Micro, which is more than enough for this tutorial. Right, friends? Now the next step is key pair login. So this helps us in logging into this box. Once the box is created, we may have to log in into that box from our local machine. You may want to log in into that box to perform some activity. So for that, we would require certain keys, okay? Right? Those keys are nothing but the credential, username and password to log in into the box. So if you already have a key, you can use those key. As I don't have a key, so I'll be creating a new key. So you can create. So let me show you how to create that key. Click on this create new key pair, provide CodeOneDigest key pair, right? So this I'll say RSA. I'll select PPK file because PPK file we can import easily into Putty. Okay. So that is why when I'm saying create key pair, what Amazon does is it will create one PPK file with encrypted credentials for me. Okay. And that file will get downloaded to me. Then I'll be loading that PPK file into Putty to log in into a EC2 server. I'll show you that later. Let me create this key pair. So this key pair is downloaded. I'll use this PPK file. I'll show you that I'll load that in Putty and then how can you log in into box. So this is done. Key pair is selected here already. Now we have to go to network setting. This is important. If you see auto assign public IP is enabled, let it be. We need not to change subnet. If you want to use some different subnet, you can create your own. But the most important thing is firewall setting, where we'll be creating a security group. Okay, so now what we'll do is we'll create a new security group because as we will be running our node API, okay, on 8080 port. So we have to open a port 8080 to allow traffic on 8080 port. Click on edit. If you see SSH traffic is allowed on 22. Okay, so now I am creating a second security group with custom TCP as a type. Protocol is TCP, port 8080, source type, that means I am allowing traffic from anywhere, and description optional, right? This is done, and then storage. So I'm selecting this 8 GB. This is more than enough. Once this is done, go to advanced details. You have to leave all other configuration as is, need not to change anything, right? Let it be as is. There are a lot of options, but it will work with the default setting also. Now just click on this launch instance button. Yeah. So what it is doing is now it is creating the server as per our requirement. So it says successful. That means our Linux server, Amazon Linux server is ready, right? Now next step is we want to connect to this instance. So click on this connect to instance so that we can connect to our server. We want to log in into that box and do some configuration, right? We want to run our Node.js API, right? So I want to connect to the server. Now it will give me instruction how can I log in into this box, and all of that instruction will be shown to me. So public IP is this IP is important. So let me take a note of this notepad. I'll take this notepad and save this IP with me, and default user is EC2 user, and we will be using is same EC2 user, right? EC2-user. Okay friends, so now go to SSH client tab, and here are the instructions how can you connect to your EC2 instance. So this is the host name that we want to connect, right? This is our host name of our server. So keep this also safe somewhere. Okay, now open the Putty client and paste that host name here. Then go to connection, SSH, auth. Go to the auth, select credentials and browse and select that PPK file and say open, right? Once this is done, click on open, right? It is asking to connect to that server, accept and give here EC2-user as your username, right? So now I have logged in into that box. If you see, I have logged in successfully into the box, right? Let me do ls RTL, okay, pwd. So I am into EC2. These are the folder structure what I have. Now what I'll do is I'll create one directory for my application. First, let me become a root, sudo su-root. Yeah, so I become a root. Now what I'll do is I'll create a directory where I want to deploy my Node.js API project. Okay, go to cd slash, these all directories are there, and make slash apple appl, that is for application. Make the directory cd slash apple. Yes, now I'm into apple folder. So let's install the git first, okay, in this Linux box. Okay, so here is the command to install a git on our Linux box. Yes, so it's installing. Yes, so it is done. Now what I'll do is I'll download my project here so that we can run our Node.js application. Let me take you to my GitHub repository where I have a project, and then I will clone that project here so that we can download the source, compile it, build it, and run it. Okay. Okay, friends. So this is my GitHub project. This is my repository CodeOneDigest, and the project is NodeJS Hello World API project. Okay. So now what we'll do is I'll just clone this project. I'll just copy this and I'll just clone that in my server so that I'll download the code into my cloud server. Okay. Let me do that. Git clone. This is the URL. Yes, you see that project is created. Go inside Node.js Hello World project, ls-rtl. Now we have server.js, package.json. Now what we'll do is we have to install the node and npm. Let me show you the command. Okay friends, so now what we'll do is we will install the nvm first, node version manager, and then we'll use the nvm to install the node and npm. Okay, so let me copy this command. So this will install the node version manager first. Let me do that. Activate nvm using this command so that nvm will be activated. Now I'll use NVM to install the latest version of the node. Okay, so this is a command. Yes, so installing. Yes, so it is installed. So if you see node minus minus version, so 18.70.1 or npm minus minus version 9.6.7, right friends? So this is done. Now we have node and compatible npm install on this box, right? So now what we'll do is we are into this project directory already. Now what I'll do is I'll install the dependencies here so that our node module directory is getting created. All our dependencies are already there in package.json. You can see that cat package.json, right? So let me do that. So this is the dependency we have: body, parser, course, and express. So let me do npm install. It will be installing all the required dependencies for this project, right? This is done. If you see, node module folder is created with all the dependencies. Now what I'll do is I'll start the server and see if the server is starting successfully on port 8080, right? Let me show you the code also, git server.js. So very simple code. Now let me start node server.js, right? Now let me do, yes, so it says it is started on port 8080. Let me try hitting this server, okay, into a browser and see if we are able to access the API, okay?
Wow.
Okay, friends, so now our node server is started and that code is running. So now it's time for testing these endpoints, okay? So I have prepared a URL where I have taken the host name, right? If you remember, this is our host name. This is a host name slash 8080. We will try to hit that. Okay, let me do that. Okay, let me do that. Let me put that URL here. So this is http slash slash. This is my host name, right? This is the host name slash 8080. Let me hit this and see what happens, right? Yes, friends. So that endpoint is working fine. Welcome to Node.js API project, right? This particular endpoint is working absolutely fine. We are just hitting slash and it is printing that welcome to Node.js API project. Now what I'll do is I'll hit the another endpoint and see if we are getting response slash hello. Yeah, hello world. So that means both of our endpoints is working fine and it is running into AWS cloud, right? So if you see the other endpoint slash hello is also working absolutely fine and we are able to get the response. So it's a very simple project where we are creating a Node.js application and hosting it, running it on our AWS EC2 instances, right? So if you want to learn AWS, if you want to learn EC2 instance, and if you want to start learning Node.js, microservice projects, API projects, then this is the tutorial for you. AWS or EC2 is not rocket science. EC2 is nothing but a simple machine like your laptop or a desktop machine, which is provided to you on a AWS cloud. You decide which operating system you want, you decide what size you want, and then AWS will give you machine. That's all. And you have to set up a security group, firewall setting, so that you can access those services. You can access the application on those certain ports. Very simple application. If you like this video, so give it a thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel, so do subscribe to my channel to grow CodeOneDigest family. Now, before we end this tutorial, it is always a good practice to stop all the servers and release the resources. Otherwise, it will keep charging you. So do not forget to stop your EC2 instance. Otherwise, it will charge you. That application will be keep running in the cloud and it will charge you on your credit card. Right, friends? Remember to stop that server and remember to delete all the services, all the resources that you have created in EC2 console.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Okay, friends, now let me summarize what we learned in this tutorial today. I gave you introduction of AWS EC2 VM setup. Then I also shown you how to create a Node.js API project. Finally, we uploaded that project into a GitHub repository. Then I explain you step by step how can you set up EC2 instance, how to create security group, how to open a firewall for port 8080. Then I shown you how to install Git client in an EC2 instance. Then I have also shown you how to install NVM, Node and NPM into AWS EC2 instance. Finally, I shown you how to build and run the Node.js application into AWS EC2 instance. And at the end, we have tested those endpoints running into EC2 instance in a Node server. Right, friends? Very simple project. If you like this video, so give it a thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel, so do subscribe to my channel to grow CodeOneDigest family. Thank you.
This is not rocket science.
Friends, if you like this video, so give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel for the more interesting videos. Click on the bell icon for the latest video notifications and do not forget to share this video with all your friends and colleagues. This is very useful information for students, beginners and software engineers. I am putting a lot of efforts in creating these contents. So please help me growing the CodeOneDigest family. Please subscribe to CodeOneDigest channel for the latest programming and technology related videos. Thank you.